Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the Fighting Chance College Football Betting Show. Week 7 is already here as the college football season is flying by, unfortunately. But it's been a good one so far as Dan and I really start to get rolling, especially my guy Dan here as we enter week 7. Dan's been on a hot streak, about three winning weeks in a row, especially a 3-0 week last week. For those that are new to the show, last week we just want to say thank you. We had our best show yet, highest attendance, a ton of listeners and viewers giving us comments and questions. A lot of fun last show, so we appreciate that, and we hope that we keep that energy moving forward. How the show works is Dan and I each have 3 picks to give out. Our third pick each is our best bet of the weekend, and we'll break them down and talk about some other things as we go. So Dan, let's pull up that season record and show everyone how we're doing, and let's get into our picks so far this weekend. Dan, go ahead and take it away and let everyone know how you did this week.
Yeah, so this was my best week of the season, I think, on a personal note and a show note. It was awesome. I mean, I'm going to do a quick victory lap because honestly, if I was a car, it was like not firing on all cylinders to start the season. Just things weren't going my way. But yeah, I mean, 3-0 week plus 2.6 units rounded. I was backing my Horned Frogs, tweeting out the Horned Frog. If you follow me on Twitter, I hope that I'm, at times I don't tweet much out, but at times I'll go on a little rampage in like 10 minutes. I'll have like 10 tweets. I'm kind of like that. So I hope you're enjoying the Horned Frogs on my Twitter, everyone out there. And, San Jose State just was such an easy smash. Like that was a no sweat there. They cruised. Memphis, Houston, wow, what a game. I heard, it was on the Bad Beat show, people that actually took the under in that game. Imagine
that was insane. I thought there was no way in hell you were going to cash that.
I wrote it off. I wrote that one off. I remember going crazy watching that. But it was a lot of fun. Puts me into the green on the season, on the show. Officially by a smidgen there and together. Although it's not where we want it to be, I've noticed week to week, we are as a team here getting, closer to being in the green on the season and moving forward. And we're about this is like pretty much technically the midway point of the season, like you alluded to earlier. So that's really all I have on my side. What about you?
Yeah. Went 2-1 last week. Thought I was turned the corner here. And then, I loved the Florida-Missouri bet. That was my biggest bet of the weekend in that cash. So I was really happy there. Other than that, Arizona, they've been playing tough, and Oregon is just, man, historically I had the edge in that matchup as Oregon has been terrible in Arizona. Arizona has played teams tough, but Arizona is a really good, Oregon is a really good team right now. A really good team. I cannot wait till next week when UCLA goes to Eugene. I have that circled. I cannot wait to watch that game because those are two of the best teams in the country right now. The App State bet I want to talk about here might be one of the biggest surprises, if not the biggest surprise of the season. App State was off a bye. Texas Tech was 21-point underdogs.
Do you mean Texas State?
Texas State. Sorry, not Texas Tech. Yeah. Texas State was 21-point underdogs. They lost by like 30 to James Madison the week before that. And they came out and mollywopped App State. That is a really embarrassing loss for App State. That is a loss that App State should not have on their record. Really bad by App State, but that's just a shocker there. I did not see that one coming. But we're going to get it going here. I really love the bets that I have this week. So let's get it started, Dan. Let's move on to our picks this week, and we'll get you going with the first one here. Like I said, those that are new to the show, we each have 3 picks, 6 picks total, and Dan will get us started with his first pick of the weekend. Go ahead, my guy.
Yeah, do you want me to talk about the crazy roller coaster ride I just took in my research to actually land on this, like right before the show, or not really?
Hey, whatever gets you to whatever you want to go, however you want to go about it, man.
I'll try to be fast. So, I was trying to have like a good, first bet on the show tonight. I've gone through like so many teams, like TCU, Mississippi State, thinking about which side I like in that game. And it's like the fact is there's not enough information that makes me confident that I have an edge. Anytime that's the case, I made an honest mistake here, and not many people will tell you this on these kind of shows, but I will. Kayvon will. So like I actually put in a bet on Mississippi State, and then I found some things that I don't really like about that game. I won't go into detail, but I literally just cashed it out. So I lose like a penny instead of a whole unit or whatever. So I did that, and I basically looked at my projections, some power rankings, and my first play tonight's going to be a pretty bad team, but they're playing a team that's far worse, in my opinion, or significantly worse. I'm going to go with Western Michigan. And right now you can find them +1, -107 on PointsBet if you get PointsBet out there. I'm in Colorado, so that's what I do. There on I shop all your books, get as many books as you can. I added 2 more this week, so I always recommend that. So that you can get the best odds. You want to be sharp on your bets. Like you want to get the best odds on everything. So do that out there, and if you have that luxury, do it. Kayvon's kind of in an opposite situation. So he's got some, offshores he's got to do, but that's what I do. So we got Western Michigan. It's about an 8.5 point difference on my power rankings that I like look at and use. This had the biggest model edge on the actual numbers on the line itself, which means like the models really like this bet a lot. Everything that I use software wise. So this is just a pure number play. I'm not really going to go into like a full game breakdown like I will for my best bet. I haven't bet on Western Michigan in a long time, but Ohio is really bad team. I think they're hosting Ohio. 69% of the bets and 85% of the money is all coming in on Western Michigan. So I'm riding with the sharps and the public on this one. Let's go.
Yeah, I can't add much to that. It's a hold your nose play. I think that Western Michigan should win this game, should cover this game. But I'll be cheering for you. That's about all I can say on that one there. But that's a good pick there. So as you see, Dan's best bet or Dan's first bet there is Western Michigan +1. For my bet here, I'm going with a team that I've actually bet it with a lot this season, a lot. And I didn't bet them last week, and I'm glad I didn't. But they let me down last week because I thought that they were going to go into this matchup with only 1 loss. They're now going into this matchup with 2 losses, and frankly, I like them more because of that. And I'm going to bet Utah -3.5 against USC. Now, to be fully honest here, this pains me a little bit because I have been all over USC this year. All over them. I have bet them numerous times. They have won me a lot of money this year, and I actually want them to keep being undefeated because I want there to be a very interesting situation in college football where I want Clemson to be undefeated. I want USC to be undefeated. I want a bunch of I want Oklahoma State or TCU, one of those teams, to be undefeated. And I want, obviously, a team from the SEC. I want all these teams to Ohio State and see what happens from there. But I think, unfortunately, that's not going to happen because I think that this is just a really bad spot for USC. And this is why. USC, a lot of people think that USC is very dependent on Caleb Williams. They are, but they actually are really even more dependent at this point on Travis Dye, their running back transfer out of Oregon. He has been one of the best rushers in the league. He's been phenomenal in all of college football. He's just gone on a tear these last couple of weeks. Caleb Williams has taken a dip. He hasn't played as well. He's still playing Heisman Trophy candidate. But the reason why this is a tough matchup is because what Utah does is exactly what USC's weakness is, which is they can't stop the run.
Yep.
And Utah is one of the best running teams in all of college football. They average I think it's like 4.5 yards per carry, which is really, really good. They've got a big offensive line, and they play at home. And if anybody's been to Salt Lake City and been to that Utah stadium, those night games are wild. Utah is a completely different team at home than they are on the road. And because Utah, see, everything you have to take into account in these types of games. Utah's season's over. Let's understand that. And what I mean by that is their goal after how they ended last year was to make the college football playoff. Not only their goal, that was the goal of a lot of people for them. Yeah. They went head to head with Ohio State. They played them down to the wire. They barely lost. Everyone said, "Whoa, this team's going to come back with Cam Rising, and they're going to go at it." Well, they're done now because they lost to Florida and they lost to UCLA. So what do they have to play for? Well, what they have to play for is to knock off USC, this undefeated USC team, from going on to possibly having a chance at the playoffs. That's their mission now. And they have a chance to do that at home, at night, in Salt Lake City. I think Utah wins this game by 10 points, maybe even more. I think it's going to be a butt whooping. And it pains me to say that. I want to see a good game, and I want to see USC win. But making money matters more to me. I'm taking Utah minus 3.5 for my first pick. Dan, where are you going from here? What do you think about that?
I really like the play. I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of personally torn on just like not even playing that game at all, or like if I did, it's going to be right there with you with Utah at minus 3.5. I don't think it'll get better than that. I don't know what it's going to do with the line.
Yeah.
I've fired on them 2 times this season, and 2 times they have let me down. Yeah. And I try to not let that weigh in going forward, and I encourage people to be the same way. But I don't know, man. I think that is the right side, but
I think that this is the right side too. I think that any week this is the right side. Now, listen, maybe Caleb Williams is just that good. I mean, and that's possible. And he might just be that good, and Lincoln Riley might just be that good, and they just keep answering questions. And I've bet on them all year, but I just think that this is where things come to a pause, and we'll see if I'm right or wrong on that.
I would say like I'm right there with you too on like rooting for all the chaos that like could turn the whole college football world on its side, which is a big reason. Like, I just like TCU aside from betting. Like just as a college football fan, I love what that team's doing. I will touch on this right now, I guess, if that's all right. I just full disclosure, I did back TCU at like minus 4 or something when it real early. It was like one of my first bets of the week that I actually wagered. I really liked it at the time, and I feel like as I getting news this week, I'm growing a little less and less fond of it. I just think it's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a shootout for sure. There's no way that game's going to go way under, in my opinion. I think that's actually going to sneakily be one of the, well, I don't know how sneaky it is now, but it's going to be one of the funnest games to watch this week for sure. And I like TCU slightly more than I like Oklahoma State, but it's really close. It's going to be very painfully, like they're like a half point away in the power rankings I use or something, or a point away from each other.
I can't. I bet the over in this game, and I almost made the over a show bet. I don't see that there's any possible way that these two teams don't get to at least 65, 68 points. And the number's like 68.5, 69. So I think they definitely get to 70. My issue is this with TCU, and this is why I just couldn't back them. They are sneakily really, really good under Mike Gundy in these matchups. I actually pulled a stat here. In the last 14 ranked-on-ranked matchups, which means both teams are ranked. Oklahoma State is either a 3.5 favorite so anywhere between a 3.5 favorite or a 3.5 dog. So pretty much
Got you in that
it's a
range.
ranked on ranked matchup and it's a close spread. Either way,
Yeah.
they're a favorite, they're a dog of 3.5. Mike Gundy is 14-2 straight up and 14-2 against the spread. He is really good in these games. The one thing TCU has going for them is Oklahoma State is just banged up on. They were on the field for like, I put it down here too because they were on Oklahoma State's defense was on the field for 104 plays last week. They had a corner out there that wasn't even on the depth chart when they started the game because they had to just start throwing guys out there because guys were so gassed they were on the field. So that is the thing that could come back and really just bite them in the butt. TCU could take advantage of it, but it's going to be a phenomenal game, no doubt about it.
I think I think you're going to see more of that unless they got healthier or whatever. I mean, I've seen games at TCU, like, I mean, just an away team going into play there, like, I could just see them jumping out all over their ass. I mean, quite honestly, like,
but Oklahoma State's going to score with them too. I don't think anybody. This isn't going to be a blowout. There's no way that this is going to be.
I know, but what I'm saying is like, I feel like it's going to be a back and forth punch, like a dogfight. But I think if like TCU gets like a score or two or goes up 2.5 scores on them, something like 17-3, 21-3 or something, I think they're going to find a way to just outdo it the rest of the way. But if not,
I can see it.
More
no
uncertainty
doubt about it.
for me.
It's definitely one to watch. All right, go ahead and give us your second. Let's get it rolling here a little bit.
Yeah, let's get right back into our picks. So for me, I'm wearing this hat, which means I hate this team I'm about to talk about. Like I grew up hating this team, right? So personally, that's just kind of interesting. Like I like money more than how much I hate a team. So at the end of the day, give me the Clemson Tigers this week, -3.5 right now at -105. I took this earlier today, this morning. This is a crazy one for me. This is like we were talking about this before the show. This is a situation where sharp money is actually coming in on Florida State. Shockingly, it's so weird. I've looked at a bunch of injury stuff. I don't really see anything like weird going on. Florida State's getting Clemson is getting 82% of the bets and 60% of the money or something like that. If I remember right, that's what I put here. So here's the thing for me. Like I did watch the NC State Florida State game last week. I think a lot of people did watch that game. It was an ugly game. It was a hard fought, physical, just ugly game, right? And guys were leaving the field on both teams, like left and right, like injury after injury. I don't care if they're playing; they might be banged up. Some of their guys just may not be all there. Some might be. I don't care if like Florida State was 200% healthy for this game. Full disclosure. And they are just thoroughly outclassed here. I like what they've done on their season so far to this point, but there's no reason this line should be sitting here like this. I make Clemson like 10-point favorites in this game pretty easily.
Agreed.
Easily. I got Clemson. Oh, they're about 9 on my in the power rankings I use, and I think SP plus wise, it's even bigger of a gap than that. And the big thing here, credit to you before the show when you're talking about it, I'll give you the credit here. Maybe I'll take your words from you, but I'll give you the credit at the same time. So, DJ is they're Clemson's quarterback. DJ, I'm not going to try to say his last name. I never do it, but I just call him DJ. He's number 1 in big time throws in college football. I mean, the PFF stat, that's, a crazy algorithm. Like, I believe it from what I've seen. We were talking about that. Like when there's only 2 minutes on the clock and Clemson gets the ball, there's a really high chance they're going to go down the field and get you a touchdown, or at least come away with some points when otherwise you wouldn't think they would. And the defense, I think they've actually gotten healthier as the season's gone on. I don't know, man. They're going to go into Tallahassee, and I think they might just blow the doors off of Florida State. And people be like, I won't be surprised if they do. I wouldn't be too surprised if it's about a 10 or 14 point win either. Somewhere in between.
Yeah,
But give me
I'm with
Clemson.
that. I don't get this at all, man. This is one of those games where I'm just like,
Yeah.
what? And I
Yeah.
think people at the end of the game are gonna sit there and say, why the hell did I just bet Florida State? Like, I think that's what's gonna
Yeah, a lot
happen,
of
man.
people are.
What people don't understand about Clemson is, first of all, Florida State just played an NC State team where for almost the whole second half, they didn't have their starting quarterback, and all they did was run the ball, and they still couldn't score. Florida State still couldn't win that game.
Yeah.
Now you're going up against a defense that smothered NC State, that played NC State much better than you played NC State, and you're going
Yeah.
up against a defense that's getting Brian Breesy back, who's a top 10
Oh,
pick in the
yeah.
NFL draft. You're getting
That's
both
right.
their quarterbacks back. The offense is humming.
Yeah.
I understand that this is going to be the biggest game in Tallahassee since like Jameis Winston was there. I mean, like seriously, but I don't understand. DJ's played in Notre Dame. Like DJ's played in these massive games. He played in a sold out Florida State, Wake Forest game the other day. Like the Clemson, Dabo, he knows how to get his team up for these games.
He does. I mean,
I like where Florida State is trending, but the Jordan Travis is going to have a hard night against that defense, man. He is going to have a really hard night. I am totally with you on this pick.
Yeah, even though their O-line's improved, Clemson's just that much better. They're going to get to him. They're going to cause a shitload of havoc in that backfield.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to do very much. No insult to the Florida State fan. You're a great fan base, but man, oh man, I'm not going to be surprised you guys get killed at home on Saturday. Just not going to be surprised, and I'm going to say it. This is the right side to be on here. See if I'm right. But yeah,
I completely agree with you. I just think that this line, like you said, I think that this line should be upwards to 7 to 8 to 9.
Easy.
And it's just very odd that it's not. So I'm totally there with you. So far you see Dan's got Clemson -3.5 and Western Michigan +1. And hey, watch it. Like Dan said, it seems like a lot of people on Florida State, you might be able to get Clemson -3 at kickoff. I don't think it would go anywhere more than that, because there's going to be a lot of people that also are still betting on Clemson. But I would, and maybe it even changes and it goes to Clemson -4. But I would just look in and see which way that goes there. All right, for my second bet here, I'm going with one of the biggest games of the day, maybe the biggest, Penn State +7. Look, Penn State's going to Michigan. I just am so not impressed with this Michigan team. I've said it every show pretty much. I'm sorry for Michigan fans that are listening because you probably hate me at this point, but I can't stand how they lined up their schedule. You are the University of Michigan. You are the University of Michigan, and you're playing Hawaii and Colorado State in these teams. And now when you go up against teams like Indiana, you struggle. You struggled against Maryland. Like, you have struggled so far. You haven't looked that great. Penn State's coming off a bye, and I get a full touchdown here with them in a game that's supposed to be lower scoring. I'm going to take that all day. I think that Penn State's defense is just as good as Michigan's, and I think that their offense is better than Michigan's. And the one thing that I love, and I am not a Sean Clifford fan, I don't think he's great, but he is a 6-year quarterback. He has played in the big house. He has played in the big games before. He is not going to be overwhelmed walking into the big house at noon on Saturday morning. He's going to be able to handle it. Penn State, 11-4 as a road underdog against the spread the last 15 games, 4-1 in the last 5 games. They won in the big house 2 years ago with Sean Clifford as their quarterback. So not only has he played in the big house, he's won in the big house. And also, the road team has won the last 4 in this matchup. Has won, not just covered. The road team has won the last 4 in this matchup between Penn State and Michigan. I think Penn State covers the 7. And I would sure as hell sprinkle on that money line, because I think they have a great shot to win. They might not. That's why we have 7 points of insurance just in case. but
Yeah.
take a little piece, 0.25 of your unit, and drop that sprinkle on the money line just in case, because I think James Franklin finally, you know what this game kind of reminds me of? It's kind of like last week, UCLA and Chip Kelly. Everyone, Chip Kelly, he's okay. He starts off hot and then they fizzle out. He never wins that big game. And then finally, they smack around Utah and they win that big game. James Franklin has won some big games, so it's not to that extent, but it's always the same thing. Penn State, they start out hot, they fizzle out. I think James Franklin and Penn State get it done this week, and they showed that they're real contenders in the Big Ten. Penn State +7 is my second pick of the day. Dan, if you want to comment that, and then go on to your best bet.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at this game. I think, anyone who's handicapping, who's betting on college football or just watching college football is looking at this game, obviously, right? So, I think I got a slight lean to Penn State with you here, but I don't have any of that on my card yet. I also wanted to see where the total is while we're sitting here.
I think the total,
because I'm really like, if I can get a number I like, I'd probably just lean under. Big Ten unders are definitely been a thing over the years.
Oh, it's been huge.
And I just think these two teams could really slug it out. If I see some like shitty weather or something, I don't even think you need 15-mile-an-hour winds. It's a like, I don't like using the 4-letter words like lock, but it's an ugly word. But if I can get a number I like, I might be grabbing an under total there.
I think it's sitting at 51, 50 and a half.
What? Oh yeah. I think it's too high. I just think the way these teams play, like, I know Michigan's got a good rushing attack and stuff, but
I'm with you.
I think I'm going to look at that under later, and I might toss that in. So,
No
Anything
doubt about
else
it, man.
before we move on to best bets, man?
Yep, let's go to your best bet. What do you got?
Let's do it. Oh, man, I'm grinning like a Cheshire cat for a good reason here. I absolutely love a few things. Like, number one, I love Maction. I love the Mac. It's always been good to me, like on futures or games. And we're going to get weekday Maction here, like in a couple weeks or a week or something. So I'll be doing some tweets on that because it'll be like night of or night before our show. But, man, this is the best team in the MAC by a good bit, in my opinion. It's probably my favorite team in the MAC. We're talking about the Glass House, man. We're talking about the Toledo Rockets, man. The team that should have beat Notre Dame last year. The team that seems to cover every time I get behind them. I should be wearing a shirt, but I'm not yet. They're in contention for me buying a shirt at the end of the season, as is TCU is currently in the lead, but they're up there for getting some merch. So I'm taking Toledo -7.5. That's where it's sitting right now. It opened at -8. I'm kind of baffled at how it went down. I mean, it's not a big move, but I'm still kind of baffled that it moved in that direction. I looked through the injury reports. I didn't see anything like glaring. I got that at -105 today. Well, you can get it at -105 out there. I slammed this 2 units. This is my first bet of the week. It's my best bet of the week. It's hard to tell which way it's moving right now. Just keep a close eye on that. If you've got an app that like shows you which way the lines are moving, that's really helpful. Like on a graph, sometimes that is like super helpful. I can't stress that enough. I use that all the time. That was a pretty flat line when I looked at it, I think. So with Toledo, the thing to understand is they did play Ohio State earlier this season, and I think Ohio State hung a greasy, dirty number up on them, like almost 80. They put almost like 80 points up on Toledo, right? I think Toledo kind of gave up, to be honest. Anyways, that skewed all their stats, like defensively. So like a lot of people probably looking at this game like, well, they're not going to stop anything Kent State does. Even Kent State's fairly good offensive team in their own right, But my thing is all that's inflated. That's just hearsay. Otherwise, I think they're only averaging they're only giving up like 4 yards a play. Pretty average. Not terrible. Power rankings wise, I got Toledo by 10 at least against the spread here. SP Plus likes them by like 17 points. That's pretty telling to me. Everything else that I use is saying like 2 full scores or more essentially on Toledo. Kent State, very run-heavy football team. Their opponent here, they run the football 57% of the time. That's one of the highest clips in the country. However, their passing game is actually arguably better. They're 20th in EPA in passing. This is an inflated number to me. Some people probably disagree with me here, but I would say it's inflated to me because they run the ball so much, and we're only about halfway into the season, and they did play some – well, Kent State's actually played some pretty good competition. People remember
They have.
They kept it close with Georgia of all teams.
Yep.
I don't know how the hell that happened, but they're a solid team at times. But they have a lot of holes. I'm going to get into it. So when they get past like into the red zone or they get like on a drive, they get past midfield, their offense is absolutely horrible at finishing drives, which is really important in covering the spread or not covering the spread. It's one of those 5 factors of college football that directly correlates to this. So if you're not looking at that in your handicap, you really ought to be. I'll just say that. It's another little nugget for people out there if you're just getting into this. They're only averaging 3.62 points when they get past that point, and they're like 91st in all of FBS in that category, so it's pretty terrible. And I'm going to say this, like Toledo's going to jump on them, I think. So I might look at even 1 quarter or first half as well if you want, or Toledo team total overs. I'm going to just shop all that stuff. And if I find anything, I'll toss it on Twitter. When Kent State inevitably does fall behind in this game and they have to decide and they have to start throwing the ball with some pace, that Toledo defense is actually 38th in opposing yards per pass play allowed, which is not bad at all. Like, I feel like that's a good wall that'll like preserve the win, the cash ticket for us. When Toledo when Toledo does have the ball, oh boy, this is the part that excites me the most because Daquan Finn, Toledo quarterback, I'm super high on this guy. Like he's one of my favorite. He's probably arguably, I don't know who the other would be. I like the guy, what's his name on Coastal? He's really good too. Help me out. I don't know. Coastal Carolina's quarterback. I can't remember his name.
McCall. Grayson McCall.
Casey McCall is a really damn good quarterback too. I like Daquan Finn a lot. He's in terms of like dual threat quarterbacks out there, he's one of my favorites, man. Just in all of college football. He's so freaking fun to watch, man.
He's awesome.
Yeah, man. So like yeah, I don't know how much NFL hype he's gonna get, but we'll see. But Kent State is going to be – look at his opponent here. He's going to slash these guys, a new one. If you play college football DFS, he's someone I'd be looking at this week. Kent State's 96 in rushing yards allowed per play. They're like 117th in success rate, near dead last. The PFF says they're the 7th worst graded coverage in all of college football. So like – I mean, my thing is there's not just one clear lane for success for Toledo here. There's multiples on both sides of the football. I love this handicap. Finn, he's been kind of average in his passing this season, but Toledo, he still has them like inside the top 40 in EPA per passing game. My hot take is like, I find a Power 5 quarterback I'm lower on than the population. That's probably Will Levis from Kentucky for me. And I don't know why. I was just on a walk earlier and I was thinking real clear. And I was like, you know what? In a vacuum, I kind of like Daquan Finn maybe a little more as much as him. And I feel like that's kind of a hot take.
It's definitely a hot take.
There's a lot of people are high on Levis and I don't see it. I don't like him. Sorry, Kentucky fans. Beautiful state, but I'm not a fan of your quarterback. I'm lower on him than most people. But yeah, anyways, just too many routes for success for Toledo. Man, I love this bet. I hope you tail and let's get this, man. Let's get this ticket.
I tailed it with you. I love it. I'm right there with you. I don't understand why the line moved a little bit, but I think that it makes no sense because I think Toledo wins this by double digits easily. Yeah. So I'm with you. All right, let's wrap it up here with my best bet. You got there, Dan, Toledo minus 7.5. I am going with a bet that I know Dan likes, just like I like his. with Western Kentucky team total over 36.5. Look, I honestly like the regular total too, but I think that this is the safer play. And the reason why I think that this is the safer play, because I think that while Middle Tennessee can score, I think that it's just they might not be able to score at the rate that Western did. This Western can. This game reminds me a lot of a game that both Dan and I were on a couple of weeks ago. We both had it. We both had the game as bets, but we had different plays in it. He was on UTSA against Middle Tennessee State, and I was on the over of Middle Tennessee State and UTSA. And that over went over by miles. And I think the game's going to be just like that for Western Kentucky, like it was for UTSA. And what that was is UTSA just went and stormed Middle Tennessee State because their offense is so quick. Their offense moves so fast. And Middle Tennessee State doesn't really have an answer to that. They sure as hell don't have an answer to it defensively. They don't have an answer to it defensively at all. And with the way and the scheme that Western Kentucky plays with, I don't think there's going to be any way that Middle Tennessee State can stop them. I actually know that there's going to be no way. I think that the only way this doesn't hit is if Western Kentucky goes out there and starts throwing a bunch of interceptions, fumbles, and they end up just not finishing drives. I think that's they are their own enemy. It's not going to be Middle Tennessee that stops them. It would be Western Kentucky themselves that would stop them if it came down to that. But I think that Western Kentucky is a well-coached football team. I think that they're a smart football team. I think they know how to play at a pace that's really good for them. And I had this here. I just wanted to read it out to you guys. Western Kentucky is okay. So they're one of the most fastest teams in terms of how quick they run plays and how explosive they are offensively. They know how to run plays fast. This is the Middle Tennessee State ranks top 10 in the nation in seconds per play at 21.27. So that would go to the over with Middle Tennessee State, while Western Kentucky sits at 12th in the nation with 23.32 seconds. So both teams are very quick and very fast, and that's what you want when you have a high total like this. 36.5 is not enough. Western Kentucky will get to the 40s by themselves. I think that they are a really fun team to watch too. Western Kentucky team total over 36.5. I will show all of our bets here. If you want to, anything you want to add on that or anything as we get on out of here.
I want to, man. I love the Hilltoppers. This team's made me money over the years for sure. I miss Bailey Zappi, but I won't say that they don't, but they plug and played with this quarterback, and it's, I think that shows strength in their coaching system. You alluded to that too. They're definitely, I'm looking at it right now, they're 13th in the country in total team offense.
They're great.
And as you said, the pace of this game, it is a high total, but it's still south of 70. If I was seeing 70 plus, it's usually I don't want to say this, but almost an auto, no over total bet for me when I see in 70s, because 70s don't happen that often at all. They're pretty rare. But this game could very well get into the 70s.
I think it does.
I think it will.
I'll give a shout out here to the Action Network. They do a great job.
Yeah.
They have this total in the numbers that they run. They think that this total should be 81. That's obviously absurd. That's so high, but that's how much they believe that this is going to be a high scoring game, And I think that Western Kentucky is going to be the one that does most of the scoring there. That's just the numbers they run. But that right there just puts something to it.
Yeah, I was looking at it against the spread too. There's a lot of ways to attack this game that I like. But I think my favorite is in agreement with you here. That's really like taking full advantage of just one team instead of relying on a dancing partner to get you to that. It's a pretty high total, so you like start kind of. You're not just relying on Western Kentucky at that point. You're also relying on Middle Tennessee State to help you get there too.
Yeah.
That feels like a really safe play to me. You know what I'm talking about? Like people out there that get your promotions and you have like, you have to do it all in one big bet or something like that. I've had that recently. This one would be in consideration for something like that for sure. No doubt about it. This will be the first play that I'm not already telling you on that I will be telling you on by the time we hang up on the show here. Like, no doubt about it. I'm with you.
Love it, man. Love it.
Yeah.
That is all. As you guys can see down here, we can recap real quick. Dan is on Western Michigan +1, Clemson -3.5. Absolutely love that bet with him. Toledo -7.5, also on that bet with him. And I myself is on Utah -3.5, Penn State +7, and Western. I put Western Michigan here. It's it's Western Kentucky. Let me just fix that so people understand. It's Western Kentucky. Team total over 36.5. So just to clarification here, Dan is on Western Michigan +1, Clemson -3.5, and Toledo -7.5. Best bet. I am on Utah -3.5, Penn State +7, and Western Kentucky team total over 36.5. That is all, Dan. Any last words before we head on out?
No, thanks for tuning in, everyone. You know the drill. Find us next week, Fighting Chance Fantasy Channel. I've sent the link out on Twitter a bunch of times. Just save that link. Come and see us next week. Get us some questions. We love to get a chat going. We didn't have much of it this week, but it's all good. Hope you catch this on the record. Hit the like, the sub. We love doing this. We'll keep it coming if you do. Good luck out there this weekend. You can always add us on Twitter, and we can, you're welcome to DM us with whatever questions you might have, and both of us are more than happy to oblige and answer that. And please take advantage of it. We're more than happy to offer our experience and advice anytime.
No doubt. Well said. Well said there, man. Chrissy says, thanks, guys. Great show. Chrissy, we appreciate you watching. As always, we were a bit hectic. Both Dan and I had a lot going on, so we started a little bit late. A little bit of a crazy show this week, but we will be back and better next week, hopefully with a 3-0 and 3-0 for both of us. So thank you for tuning in. This is the Week 7 Fighting Chance College Football Betting Show. That is Dan Hickman. You can follow him on Twitter, DanH720, myself at Kayvon_sports. And best of luck. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football. We'll talk to you next week.
See you.